Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are absolutely deconstructing the brutal reality behind massive goals, viral success, and surviving totally extreme conditions. We always hear about the thrilling start of a journey, right? And of course, we celebrate the glorious finish line, but we rarely talk about the messy middle. Specifically, day 35. The goal is still the exact same. Maybe it's hitting a crazy milestone, or in one case, we'll look at winning $500,000. But by day 35, the initial thrill is completely gone. Whether you're building a wildly successful business from scratch or trying to survive in a stark white cube for a massive cash prize, the underlying mechanism for survival is exactly the same.
Just listen to this raw panic from a psychological survival challenge we'll be breaking down. You can hear participants' complete mental collapse happening in real time. Quote, "My eyes are burning. I haven't slept a single second in the last 48 hours. This is the terrifying reality of extreme isolation. It isn't just about passing the time, it is a profound, high-stakes psychological pressure cooker."
So why on earth would anyone willingly put themselves through that? Well, for $500,000. That was the massive prize on the line for Susie and Bailey. They were two complete strangers that YouTuber MrBeast locked inside a blindingly white isolation chamber for 100 days. No phones, zero clocks, no natural light. Just a stockpile of canned chicken, some basic supplies, and each other. It is the ultimate test of endurance. But here's the thing, surviving that room, just like achieving literally any massive goal in life, requires answering one really fundamental question.
Seriously, how do you keep going when the honeymoon phase is just over? When the cameras first start rolling, or when you first set that huge goal, like, say, earning $10,000 a month, you are overflowing with excitement. But what actually happens when that motivation inevitably vanishes?
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the motivation trap. When that initial hype fades away, the difference between success and failure is super stark. 35 days ago, you were probably waiting for motivation to strike. But now, you're relying entirely on habits. Because you see, motivation disappears. It just vanishes. But habits stay. When you're trapped in a white room or you're just staring at a blank laptop trying to build a business, you realize you have to make a shift. Every morning has to start the same. Wake up, learn something useful, work on the challenge, try to improve by just 1%. And honestly, it doesn't feel exciting. Actually, it feels incredibly repetitive. And that is exactly why most people quit. They chase that fleeting motivation, but the ones who survive rely on the mechanical reliability of daily habits.
In the business world, entrepreneur Mark Tilbury has a great concept for this. He calls it the phase of diminishing returns. Think about it. When you first start learning a high-income skill, you get these awesome newbie gains, rapid progress that feels amazing. But eventually, the hours you put in yield smaller and smaller visible results. Pure discipline has to take over. And this perfectly mirrors those 100-day survival challenges. The initial shock of the white room wears off. The newbie gains of passing the time by playing with cards made out of journal paper fade, and pure, grueling discipline has to take the wheel.
Which brings us to Section 2, Day 35, the breaking point.
Every massive challenge eventually hits this brutal psychological wall known as the trough of sorrow. Day 1 brings pure excitement and energy. By day 13, Ryan Trahan, who famously spent 100 days trapped in a VR headset in the metaverse, was still having fun playing games and hanging out with his virtual friend Clay. But once he hit day 35, deep isolation and repetition totally set in. Ryan was experiencing real existential dread, struggling just to care for his actual physical body. And for Susie and Bailey in the White Room, by day 70, that repetitive grind had turned into outright hostility. Susie was literally hiding the Monopoly dice just so she wouldn't have to talk to Bailey, while Bailey was pacing the room at 3 in the morning.
So how do you push past this decay? You look around your room and nothing looks special. A notebook, a laptop, a few goals written on paper. Surviving day 35 isn't about grand cinematic gestures. There are absolutely no shortcuts here, no secret formula. It's just small actions repeated every single day. It's the monotonous, unglamorous grind that eventually builds a totally different future.
And this brilliantly illustrates Section 3, Consume, Apply, Educate. To survive the middle grind of building a business, Mark Tilbury outlines a mechanical blueprint to act as your habitual armor. Step 1 is consume. Identify a high-income skill, like coding or video editing, and just consume knowledge from experts. Step 2 is apply. Actually sit down and build the app or edit the video. You have to give yourself the freedom and permission to fail. Make those mistakes. And step 3 is educate. Once you reach expert status, you package that knowledge and teach others, which creates predictable, recurring revenue.
These structured habits completely replace the need to feel constantly motivated.
And to actually scale that education phase, Tilbury uses the impact principle. It's a straightforward framework. You inspire your audience, have a clear message, offer practical advice, remain authentic to your own struggles, build a real connection, and use the right timing. By turning your daily grind into a concrete system, you're no longer just surviving, you're compounding your value.
Moving right along to Section 4, the patience payoff.
Surviving that mind-numbing repetitiveness through your habit loop eventually leads to massive exponential rewards. Let's look at a MrBeast Minecraft challenge as a perfect visual analogy for compounding daily effort. You start with a $1 dirt island. Basic, empty, nothing special. But as builders put in the hours, really applying their skills, the value skyrockets. The $100 dragon house adds a cool theme. The $10,000 futuristic city adds massive scale and intricate interiors. And the winning $25,000 custom spaceship, it literally had a custom Gundam, holograms, and insane attention to detail. That level of mastery doesn't just happen by accident. It scales from a tiny $1 foundation built entirely on patience and daily details.
Moving from that beginner level to true expert mastery requires a really deliberate allocation of your focus. Eventually, how you spend your time has to shift. You still spend a bit of time consuming, maybe 20%, but the vast majority of your habits are split between applying your skills in the real world and then educating others, testing, and then teaching.
So the crucial point is this realization right here. You don't become successful in one day. You become successful through hundreds of ordinary days. Later that night, you might check your progress, and the goal still seems so incredibly far away. But every ordinary day you survive by leaning on your habits gets you one step closer to the ultimate payoff.
And that leads us to our final section, the ultimate test. Because no journey is complete without a high-stakes conclusion, right? Let's go back to our two strangers in the White Room, Susie and Bailey. Day 100 finally arrives, and this is the ultimate test of their endurance and their shared habits. MrBeast brings them out and drops a final, totally brutal twist, split or steal. If they both choose split, they each take home $250,000. If one steals and the other splits, the stealer gets all $500,000. If both steal, they get absolutely nothing. They just spent 100 days battling bright lights, crushing monotony, and each other. I mean, Susie had noise-canceling headphones on at one point just so Bailey couldn't talk to her. But because they survived the psychological grind together, leaning on the routine they built, they had formed this unspoken bond of shared endurance. The room lit up green. They both chose to split the money.
The massive payout, the successful business, surviving the White Room, it all comes down to the system you build when no one is watching. Before going to sleep, you open your notebook and write, "Your daily habits decide your future." Then you close the notebook. Day 35 is complete. So, before you click away from this explainer, I want you to ask yourself, when the initial excitement fades and tomorrow you wake up to face your own day 35, will you still be waiting for motivation? Or will you finally discover why patience is the absolute hardest skill to master?